G'day folks, Duckville here bringing you a replay from Koreatown. Of course, we're going to be looking at a Terran versus Zerg. This is going to be on Shakura's Plateau, I believe, from the ladder itself. This is going to be one that OneStar, PSW OneStar, has actually sent through to me. He actually sent through a bunch of reps. Thank you very much to OneStar for sending them through. There are some really amazing games in there, and hopefully I can get a couple of these casted, and you can see how this guy actually goes. He's a really good Terran player. Of course, I have got a couple of other casts of him up on the channel, so make sure you go and check those out. He's done a little bit of work in the foreign scene as well, in US Craft Cup, things like that. But today we're going to see him facing off against a Zerg you may have heard of. So we've got a Star over here, and then we've also got Startail Superstar over here. We got stars all over the joint here in this particular game. So we'll see. Superstar, of course, you may be aware of this guy. He actually dressed up as a vampire for one of his GSTL appearances against, I think it was against NS Hoso. And he also played a little bit in the GSL singular format with an appearance in the GSL Season 3, and also he lost to Hyperdub in that particular season, I believe, but also an appearance in Code A. It was a little while ago. He played against, I can't actually remember, but this guy plays a lot. He used to actually play random as well, and he actually then decided on playing Zerg when he was serious. Apparently he actually cheeses a lot on the ladder, but he's not going to be doing that today, it seems. Going to be playing a bit of standard here is Superstar. We'll probably call him just Super so I don't get confused with all the stars around the joint, so just be aware of that. But looks as if for the moment that OneStar is just going to scout out normally. It doesn't look as if we're going to have anything too fancy out of him, no proxy racks or anything like that. It has been a bit of a common thing recently to see a lot of the Terrans doing that sort of thing in TvZ, so we'll see what happens here. But of course, thank you very much again to OneStar for sending these replays through. Very, very cool. Make sure you also stay tuned to duckvillelol.com. Got a really cool blog post coming up with an interview with one of my favourite players. You'll have to guess who. But for the moment here, Superstar just being very vigilant, making sure that this SCV does not get a chance to build a bunker or anything like that. We'll see if OneStar is going to push out. No, he's not. He's got one Marine just actually patrolling the top of the ramp here, although he has actually changed his mind, getting orders from the top and now switching around to push out across the map. Probably going to try and take out this drone if possible. The SCV trying to lure the drone a little bit closer, but looks as if Super is well prepared for that. He is going to send the drone back, and it should be fine for the time being. Just actually checking out that watchtower just to see if there are any overlords around. As we can see from the vision there was nothing available to shoot down for that one Marine. And we'll see if he's going to continue with any pressure. I don't think it's going to happen. No, in fact, we're actually going to get a reactor factory expand. This is a very, very common sort of thing that we do see in TvZ. Of course, it's a very stable and safe, and of course, it also helps you punish a Zerg if they are a little bit too greedy and don't get enough lings or that sort of thing. But speaking of lings, we can see that Super has actually grabbed 4 lings, so he's going to get a little bit of map control for the time being, whilst still getting a few drones on the way as well. So he's not going to have to worry too much, though. As we can see here, OneStar is going to get that command center up and running at the natural expansion straight away, just switching over the buildings here and now putting up that tech lab. So we are going to get a tech lab over there, and we're going to have a couple of Hellions pumping out. The interesting thing to see will be how many Hellions actually come out. Of course, it's sort of dependent on the aggression, how aggressive you want to be. We've seen a few players, in fact, if you've been watching DreamHack, as I have just this morning, in fact, we saw a lot of Hellions coming out of one of the Terran players. Who was it? It was someone against Sheth. I can't actually remember. But we saw like a bajillion Hellions coming out of that guy, and that was pretty funny to watch. But looks as if a couple of Hellions have spotted the Lings that were trying to control the Zelnaga watchtowers. The Lings are not going to have a good time against those 2 Hellions, roasting them up. Going to have a barbecue, and looks as if those Lings will retreat for the time being. We do have one Overlord that's going to get into a good spotting position here for Superstar. He will be able to just check up and see exactly what's happening at that natural expansion very soon once the Overlord gets across. Meanwhile, the Hellions will just sit around and control the map. Of course, as we mentioned, that's the big part of doing this particular type of expansion. It's very stable, gives you map control, so you can actually take down these Lings, because of course prior to the Hellions coming out, the Lings had all the map control they wanted. They're much faster than the Marines and can take down the Marines in small numbers, but as we can see, this game going very, very slow for the moment here. We've got that orbital command just switching over. We now have, here we go, yeah, this looks like it could be this, what I think will look to be the 9-minute, sort of roughly 9 or 10-minute push here from OneStar. In fact, he is going to get a third command center up and running, so he's going to look to push and probably just do a little bit of damage, but not go too hard at it, because of course he spent another 400 minerals getting this command center up. But what you want to do with this is actually get the stim going. You have a factory here with the tech lab to get the siege mode going, and then you could actually make a 9-minute push. It's around about that time with roughly, I think it's about 10 Marines or so, because of course you got a reactor here that's going to help out with that, and in fact he's going to get a second reactor as well. And you push out with a bunch of Marines, and it's around about 3 to 4 tanks. I'm not a Terran expert, but that's roughly how it goes, I believe. And what you want to try and do is actually just siege up a little bit here. You don't want to push too hard, and then try and take out a little bit of this Zerg economy here, or at least force a lot of extra defensive units. Of course, we generally will see things like roaches come out. Roaches can help with that, but as we can see here from Superstar, he is going to get a few banelings out. He does have that the nest up and running, and it looks as if we're going to get that lair up in just a second as well. It'll be interesting to see if he does grab the centrifugal hook straight away or not. But a couple of tanks are out for OneStar right now. He's got that one Marine still patrolling here. That guy is going to be very, very fit. Check him out. Look at those buff arms he's got, but he's going to be worried about anything coming through the front door. But OneStar will just still be taking up just a little bit here. We have a lot of lings out in the middle of the map here for Super. He's just going to crank out a lot of these lings. I would not be surprised if we start seeing perhaps a little bit of aggression from him, or at least just a check to see how thick this door is. Of course, if you've only got a few supply depots there, it's going to be easy to bust through that with some lings if Super decides to get on the offensive. But of course, we've got an engineering bay along with the bunker, and as we mentioned before, here comes that push. We've only got 2 tanks. There is a third over here, some more Marines just popping out now, and Overseer is actually just popped through, and he's actually going to see every single thing that is going on here. May in fact see the push timing, because if he can see that, he will be in a great position to defend it. Indeed he does. The Marines actually not actually caring at all about the about that Overseer. Now they do, coming inside and taking that one down. The Marines have had a good day there, but the third base is now up and running for OneStar, so he's going to be in a great position to actually to get his economy rolling. I'm a little bit surprised that Superstar hasn't actually... Did he actually see that? I think he may have seen that it was floating. I didn't actually check that, but looks as if he's got a few lings still hanging out in the middle of the map. Got those 2 Zelnaga watchtowers. Can see all sorts of vision through the middle of the map here, as we can see, which is always, of course, very useful to have in this particular matchup. But Superstar still playing passive in a way. He's got 11 mutas coming out. The Spire is now done. We're currently sitting on a harvester count of 56 drones for Superstar, 50 SCVs for OneStar, and as I said, it's going to be confusing with all these stars all over the place, but we'll get there eventually. We've got a few upgrades coming out now from OneStar as well. He's got, where is that engineering bay again? There it is. He's got the +1 to weapons on the way. We've got the combat shields also just about to pop through as well, and continual tank production. That's a good thing we can see here. And I think, yeah, it just looks as if OneStar is just going to go for a very comfortable third base here, putting these siege tanks in a great position to make sure he's defended against any of these potential ling flanks that may come through. The mutas, meanwhile, have just popped out and have come down to check out what's happening at these destructible rocks, not actually helping out with those lings. They're not getting involved in this this ling rock destruction. But now it looks as if he will actually head inside. We're going to see if these mutas can try and pin OneStar to his what appears to be 2 bases, but one turret inside the mineral line is going to have something to say about that, not actually getting the SCVs in there to actually repair that, and it looks as if the mutas will have a little bit of a field day inside the base, but the Marines do come inside and deny that pressure, so he's going to put them out and push them out the door. As we can see, the mutas are just going to have to hang out for the time being, but the lings not actually trying to do any sorts of counterattacks here. There are way too many tanks through this middle section of the map. In fact, the lings again are actually trying to take out these rocks. Not exactly sure what the point of all this is. I think he's actually just taking it down so he can be prepared to destroy the rocks if it looks like OneStar is actually going to go for the base down at the 6 o'clock position. Meanwhile, we can see that Superstar has actually got the hatch up here, and he is looking to take this 4th base as well. Beautiful scan timing there from OneStar, just catching that straight away. And of course, that means a Superstar will have to be a little bit careful with how he actually proceeds with that base there. You might want to get some defenses up, but he is going to harass with these Mutalisks for the time being, taking out one of the turrets that was going to be constructed. In fact, may get this supply depot if he can. It is in the red now. It's starting to burn down, and bam, it's just about to go. There it is. The Marines are not able to get into position to defend that. Of course, if you're wondering what that supply depot was there for, it's just to provide a bit of vision for the turret, and of course any units that are down here if they want to defend. If there's some sort of attack coming from the high ground, that means that you can see if anything is there. Now it looks as if OneStar is going to have to get his defenses prepared. We may have an attack coming through the middle here. Not actually sure why these Lings are still down here for Superstar. He could use them in this battle if he is going to actually engage. It looks as if the Terran forces have started to group up, and he may want to try and push through the middle of the map. He's not actually aware that all this is there, but he is now. OneStar is actually going to have to deal with a lot of these Banelings here. In fact, the Banelings are all cancelled. Of course, a terrible idea to try and morph those Banelings in when the tanks are on the way, and it looks as if the Mutas weren't actually able to get anything done up at the top base. So a couple of turrets are here to defend against those Mutas. Of course, there's no way that the Lings will be able to push through this particular segment of the map. OneStar actually pushing in and getting his signature move up and running. If you're not aware what that is, he loves to actually set up these type of these sort of soft contains through the middle, or a slow tank push. And as we can see, beautiful tank spreading here is the key part of how he is actually doing this. You want to make sure that the tanks are actually in good position to actually hit targets that are rolling through, but of course you also want to make sure that they're not too clumped together, so things like Banelings and Muta bouncers can't actually hit the tanks when they're in the middle. So the Mutas are still flowing around. We've still got to wait to see what they're going to do about this. Whoa, we have actually a ton of these Banelings in progression here at the moment. We've got 48 already out here for Superstar. He's got another 11 morphing, so we're going to take him up to a massive total of the Banelings here, plus 2 to flyer attacks are on the way. The macro hatch inside the main is pumping away at those larvae. Needs to crank out some more units, I would say, but it looks as if we're going to get even more Banelings coming through here from Superstar. A scan going down to actually catch that all these Banelings are here, and we would have to see what OneStar is going to do about this. He does have a firm grip on this middle section of the map, just putting up a couple of bunkers here to make sure that he's got some defensive line here to A, soak up some of the damage from the Banelings, and B, of course, make some targeting, put down some targeting issues for the Lings and the Banelings if they decide to roll through. Have a look at that. If that is not something you will see in a nightmare, I have no idea what you are seeing, but we'll see if he is going to catch out. There is a drop that was attempting to come through here from OneStar. He's actually going to be picked up there, trying to get inside and actually do what he can to this base, but he's not really going to get too much done. One tank just left out a little bit alone at the watchtower. A couple of Marines will have to get there and try and do their best to defend, but they're not actually able to take any of those Mutas down. The Mutas, meanwhile, just covering this massive Baneling, what do you call this? I have no idea what a group of Banelings is called. I have a word in mind, but it's actually perhaps a little bit rude. But more Banelings now morphing in here. We've got 75 in total already out here for Superstar. He's going to have another 40 on the way in just a moment. That takes him to a grand total of 115 Banelings that will be out on this map in just a second here. OneStar actually trying to get a drop through the top as well, but not getting that done. There is one Marine just patrolling around here trying to see if he can catch these Mutas before they get into the bases. But just have a look at what's going on here in the production lines of OneStar. He's got a bunch of racks going up here. He's got a couple of extra command centers as well. We've got another one just about to plop itself down here at this, what is this? This is a 4th base. I'm trying to remember my counting skills. Here is a medevac actually trying to get a drop here inside this 4th of Superstar. He's not actually going to get too much done because there are just way too many forces out, and it looks as if the 115 Banelings are just going to, cruise along and say hello to the Marines. 2 of the Banelings going down there. Not really the best trade, but it's obviously something that can be wasted given that he's got so many Banelings in the mix. We want to see what you're sort of sitting there thinking, what is OneStar going to do against all of these Banelings that are out? Well, he's going to have to look at perhaps getting a little bit of a thicker wall up. Perhaps he can take some of these racks that are here and push them into the middle, but no, he's not. He's going to switch them into, he's going to grab a couple of add-ons for them, getting a couple of tech labs and a reactor as well. This line is, I think it is kind of good enough to help it with defending against this, but there are just so many many banelings, and the production capabilities of Superstar will just be off the charts in just a minute. If this base can secure itself, then he will be able to just resupply and do one of those 300 food pushes that we hear Day 9 talking about, and we'll see if he is going to get that done. The sensor tower put up in a very nice spot to make sure he can see if there is anything coming through the sides here. We also have a couple of Thors out now just to make sure that there is a little bit of beefiness in this middle section here. We've got Infestors on the way. Three Nidus networks are going up here for Superstar. He thinks that he's probably agreeing with what a lot of you guys are thinking, that there may not be a way to bust through that section of the middle section of the map where OneStar has secured himself. So what is he going to do? He's probably going to use some of these overlords that are positioned very nicely to put down some Nidus worms, and if he can, he will be able to just go around. He's going to take a detour and head around the backside of OneStar's defenses. Meanwhile, OneStar just getting a little bit done here, but too many spine crawlers to take out the Marines here that were sitting up at that potential drop that happened. We've got a few Infestors out. It's sort of a few compared to the massive swell of banelings that are actually here for Superstar. And here come the 3 Nidus worms. We've got 3 of them just about to pop up here at the top. The 3 of them there. Why are there 3, you're saying? That's actually so he can just absolutely slam out all of these units as soon as possible, and he's probably going to get that done. Here he goes. He's starting to roll them out. Here come the massive lines of banelings lining up like school kids trying to get into the lunchroom, and they are just going to head straight down to this expansion here. Beautiful rally point there from Superstar, spreading out these the banelings now so he can get as much damage done as possible, and he is going to get that orbital command down. In fact, there is another Nidus worm here. He's going to get a couple of banelings out before it dies, but in fact the banelings actually just cleaning up the leftover Marines, and the Marines are all gone, and we have nothing left here for OneStar. He is able to get back inside. A little bit of a baneling mine there, just a tiny one with like 15 banelings there, actually cleaning up a lot of these forces here. The Marines going down. There are still a lot of tanks left here for OneStar, but there are just so many banelings sweeping through his position on the map. Of course, we can see that they are now inside the production lines. Would love to see him just smashing through some of these buildings here. In fact, going straight for the armory there, denying some of the upgrades potential there for OneStar, but now OneStar is a little bit open inside the middle. He has left a few tanks here. There are still a lot of bunkers here in the middle as well, so he is still defending this position quite nicely. So it will give a little bit of trouble here for OneStar if Superstar tries to push, but with another drop it looks as if we had here from OneStar. He didn't actually get too much done, but more banelings are now starting to come through here. They're just going to roll straight through and take out some of these SCVs. In fact, may get all of the SCVs, forcing the orbital command to lift, and it really feels as if Super is actually just going to stick with this combination of Lings, banelings, and of course those few Infestors that were left in the middle of the map. But OneStar is not giving up. He's holding this position in the middle of the map here, not going to allow Superstar any chance to push through. The banelings, meanwhile, trying to do their own pushing and do not get too far on this attack. They did take out a few of the tanks, maybe a Thor or 2, and a lot of those Marines as well. But now OneStar is aware of this threat here. The Infestors are inside the Nidus worms, but he's not going to let them come out. But no, he is. I take it back. Does actually bring them out, puts down a couple of fungal growths. There is one Infestor left over here, got a tiny bit of energy left, and it looks as if OneStar is actually gearing up to push through the middle of the map. This could be a little bit of a swing here, but he is in a little bit of trouble. Let's have a look at the harvest account. We got 66 drones for Super and only 29 SCVs left for OneStar, but this massive force coming through the middle is quite a sight to behold, with no more 115 baneling sweeps left available to Super. He's going to have to contend with this massive bunch of tanks that are here. They only have +1 to their weapons. Of course, the armory was denied and destroyed there. We have 7 Ultralisks on the way for Superstar. He's going to do his best to rip through the armored tank lines with the formidable anti-armor weapon of the Ultralisk. The problem will be actually getting in position. We'll have to see. He doesn't have drops. I don't believe he has drops. He is trying to get a Great Aspire in the mix here, but it's not going to get up in time, I don't think. Looks as if OneStar is just going to start pushing through, not unsieging all of his tanks at the same time. That's the best way to do it, of course. You want to just keep some of them alive while the rest actually move along, and it looks as if the Ultras have experienced that that they're actually taking some shots here. We've got 4 Ultras at the top. He's going to have a few more perhaps down at the southern side, but OneStar is able to obliterate all of those Ultralisks. Of course, the tanks do the 55 damage to armored units when they are in the siege mode. The Marines are trying to do what they can against this hatchery here. It actually looks, despite the situation of this game, Superstar has no way to actually counterattack here into OneStar's base, and I think we may have a win here for OneStar. He's got 1 Thor left here to take care of these Mutalisks. Beautiful timing there to keep that Thor alive. The Marines are there as well, and Superstar, GG's. That was absolutely a crazy game there. We saw 115 Banelings just rolling out of those Nidus Worms and smashing through a lot of OneStar's base, but this beautiful line here through the middle of the map, protecting the middle section and allowing OneStar to keep his main mining base here up and running, and then was able to just push through with this big tank marine mix. So I hope you guys enjoyed that game. You can catch more of OneStar on the channel, as I mentioned. I'm probably going to put up a couple more games very soon. Cheers.